It's Thursday again, tell everybody to lock in, grab some popcorn, a drink, and go and throw your AirPods in. It's the 1 hour show, constantly speaking facts. Bulletproof stats are always shooting from Matt. And when it comes to Kyle, you getting numbers and style. Jake is gonna educate you, he has that knowledge on file. Players, step your game up, don't be sluggish or lazy. Or Jimmy J might hit you with a shaky baby. Catch him on YouTube or any podcast platform. Breaking all the news down like Shaq does the backboards. No hot takes, this is where the hottest debate's at. Now kick your feet up, cause it's time for straight facts.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, the sports show that educates and entertains. I'm your host for today, Kyle Sirik, joined by two of the usual suspects. We got Jake Galley, we got Stat Matt. No James Jackson today, but hold up. We weren't going to leave that seat empty now, were we, Jake? We had to bring someone in, one of our favorite guests, making his third appearance on the podcast. This is our boy, Matt Valdovinos, MV Scouting on Twitter. Matt, we're happy to have you here, man. How you feeling?
I'm excited to be here. It's a vibe. I'm glad to, talk ball, be with the boys. It's a good time.
All right, Matt, before we get started, like we always do, we want to give you a second. Educate the listeners. Who are you?
I am Matt Valdovinos, drip connoisseur, cloud chaser extraordinaire. Please go follow me on Twitter at MV Scouting. That's where you'll find everything.
Great follow.
Any content I make, we like to get into a little bit of banter. I promise it's a good time. Just, hit me up and we'll talk ball.
And he knows his stuff, too. Now, if you do follow him on Twitter, what you'll see is this man likes to let it rip sometimes. This man likes to tell you what he thinks right to the point. And a couple other guys told us what they thought this week with Speaking Facts. Of course, Speaking Facts, we bring the quotes from the whole sports landscape. And we just go around the table and say, was this person spitting the truth or they got to go on this one? We're going to start with my man, Jimmy Johnson, on Fox NFL Sunday. He said, if I was drafting in the NFL today, out of all of the players, my number one pick would be Justin Herbert over Mahomes. So is Jimmy Johnson, we'll start with you, Matt V. Is Jimmy Johnson speaking facts that Justin Herbert should be the number one overall pick if the league were to be redrafted?
I'm a huge Justin Herbert guy, been a fan, but he is not speaking facts. Pat Mahomes is the 1.01 any draft. He's the best player in the league. He's the best quarterback in the league at the very minimum, second best player in the league. He's a superhero playing quarterback. I love Justin Herbert. I love what he's doing. He's not doing it with what Pat Mahomes is doing it with. The Chargers team's a lot better playing right now than the Chiefs have been. So, yeah, give me Pat still.
Jake,
let me tell you what. There are two things. I respect my elders. Old people, they're wise. They have a lot of knowledge. There are two things you should never take their advice on. Number one, cryptocurrency. If someone with gray hair ever tells you anything about cryptocurrency, ignore them. Number two is NFL offenses. You look around Brandon Staley, you've got Sean McVay, You've got Kyle Shanahan. These are the guys who are pushing the NFL forward. I also think Jimmy Johnson may be suffering from some vicious recency bias going on here. So, for all those reasons, he's not speaking facts. But you know what? I'm not going to hate on Jimmy too much. He does a good job.
Stat Matt?
It's asinine. Like it would be like in 2009 saying that you take Chris Paul over LeBron. Like, yeah, Chris Paul's really good, but it's LeBron. It's like this is Pat Mahomes. It's you don't even think it's automatic. It's overthinking. It's trying to be smart. It's trying to get people to talk about you, which succeeded. But Pat Mahomes, he led the Chiefs to a Super Bowl, led them to another Super Bowl. He's the first quarterback to ever throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. That is not Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. Like that's the class he's in. Herbert's really good, and I was wrong about Herbert coming out of college, but
a lot of people were.
It's Mahomes.
If he had said second, I wouldn't.
That's where I was going to go with this. Yeah. So I threw this one up first because I know it's obvious answer for me. No, it's not speaking facts. It's Mahomes. But is Herbert second? Real quick. Is Herbert second? Jake?
I guess he has to be right now, right?
I mean, you look around, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Lamar.
Yeah.
I think Herbert's just younger than them.
Right. They're all in the same tier. You can probably throw Kyler in there. But I think I'd take Herbert. I don't know. It's toss-up.
Matt?
Yeah, I'd probably take Herbert.
All right. Personally, I would go Josh Allen.
We'll talk about this later.
I would go Josh Allen. We'll move on to the next one. This is Stephen A. Smith. Always seems to find his way onto this segment. Yeah, on First Take,
He
he
has like
said,
80 shows, so
he said, I think Odell Beckham Jr. needs to beg to be traded. It's not a good situation for him. I'm not going to. He needs to get a better quarterback. I miswrote that one. He needs someone who can stretch the field. I'm talking a quarterback with an arm. Is Stephen A speaking facts? Does OBG need to beg to get traded? And we'll go with Stat Matt start us on this one.
OBJ played with Eli Manning. This isn't best Eli. This isn't 2011 leading the Giants to the Super Bowl. This is just mediocre at best Eli Manning, half decent but stays healthy. Baker's is better now than Eli was in 2014 and 2015. I don't know what Stephen A is thinking. OBJ is playing poorly because OBJ has been bad. He's not been good. He had a horrible drop. Look at that game against the Chargers. You're going to say, oh, bad quarterback.
Also, I think it's like, where else is he going? Like, okay, if you want OBJ to have better stats, if I'm OBJ, yeah, maybe you do want to go somewhere else because you have Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. The offense is predicated around the run game. But he's not going to get any closer to like a Super Bowl by going to somewhere else. So, like, I don't know. Like Matt said, he hasn't been very good. I'm going to say that he's not speaking facts here. OBJ should sit where he is and hopefully collect a ring in a year or two.
When you get outperformed by David Njoku, it's about you. It's not about Baker Mayfield.
Well, I think Stephen A is wrong in what he's saying, right? I don't think, especially with the arm talent, I don't think that Baker Mayfield, I don't think you're going to get much better. I think Baker's got a top 12 at worst arm in the NFL. So I don't think it's necessarily Baker's arm. If you want to say OBJ could be in a better situation, yeah, I think there's maybe an offense that would be willing to give him a higher percentage of the targets or run the offense through him, but that's not what Cleveland does, and that's okay. I don't necessarily think he's been bad, right? That drop was bad, but I think he creates separation. Him and Baker have just never really clicked. It's never been a thing. I don't know what it is. I think they're both good players. I think both are underperforming from what they could be, but I also think that maybe Kyle Shanahan, I'm sorry, but when the Browns brought in Odell to be that guy, and Freddie Kitchens was involved, and you wanted to get Baker Mayfield in and get him a number one receiver, I don't know that Odell necessarily fits what they want to do now with Stefanski.
So you touched on, so the point here was kind of arm talent, right?
Yeah, I don't think,
that's what Stephen A was hitting on here, and you are the film guy. You're the one that, he's our draft guy. You're the one that assesses those things. So you think that he's just wrong about that?
Now, Odell's the issue is, if you look at the quarterbacks that are going to have an obviously better arm than Baker, you're talking about, Josh Allen, who has Stephon. You've got, Justin Herbert, who has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Pat's got Tyreek.
Matt Stafford.
Right? Yeah, Matt Stafford's got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, right? So it's not, where are you going to go? Where's Odell here? I know he didn't say this. It was Stephen A. But where's Odell going to go where he's going to get a quarterback with a noticeably better arm than Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, and I think Baker, he's proved with receivers that he can make them good.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry has had very great weeks. Not a great season, but he's been hurt. Has had very great weeks on that team.
Rashard Higgins,
Donovan Peoples-Jones. He gets these guys involved and throws good balls. So I agree with you there.
And, I think the difference is, I don't necessarily think that those guys are outproducing Odell in those moments. It's just that we're hoping for 150 and 2 from Odell and expecting, 50 yards from those guys. So when they both meet in the middle at 75, maybe it is just a system thing, and Odell's just playing that role, and he's, maximizing it to what it can be, but it might just not be a super effective number one go-to target in the offense that they're running.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll move on. We got one more here on Speaking Facts, and this is the one that, is maybe make us, change our opinion, specifically me and Matt here. So Shannon Is Shannon Sharp speaking facts? Because, hey, we give Patrick Mahomes the benefit of the doubt on this show a lot. Sometimes when we do predictions, it's like, especially me and Matt, I'm not betting against Mahomes. So, is Kansas City in trouble, Jake?
Just strictly speaking about the defense, it's been terrible since last year.
Horrible.
Like, they've been bad.
Yeah.
But as far as when they bring up, like, the offensive side of things and Mahomes and how all those pieces fit in, he brings up Kelsey and, like, Tyreek Hill, I think they're going to be fine in the long run. I am interested, though, Matt. They had some interesting quotes, the Kansas City locker room, after their loss to the Bills, saying, like, no one sees coverages like us.
Mhm.
Is that something that's like verifiable? I haven't watched the film, so I don't know.
So one thing that sucks for them is I do think the Chargers kind of played them pretty differently than you expect to play. Now, Brandon Staley's probably got a bid as the best defensive mind in football right now. And he's got a bid, and Derwin James is a bid is the most versatile defensive piece in football right now. So when you give a guy like Brandon Staley that chess piece, it's going to create issues for Mahomes and company, which it did. And I do think that, yes, in the sense that in terms of people in coverage, the Bills did not blitz Pat Mahomes one time.
Yeah.
They rushed 4-3 every single snap the entire game.
And Sean McDermott loves the blitz.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that tells you is, Pat's not Lamar. You can't run 3 at him and he's going to go for 300 rushing yards on you. He can get around a little bit, but he's not going to be able to dominate the defense with his legs. So maybe it is, when you have a superhero quarterback like Pat Mahomes, let's bring guys out into coverage. I'm not, especially when Allaire got hurt. Like I'm not worried about being in the box with Damian Williams. I think, if he rushes for his 4 yards of carry, that's fine. Give me and my offense over Damian Williams for 4 yards of carry. So I think, yes, I don't think that they're getting anything unprecedented defensively that nobody's ever run before, just because I think we're kind of past that. The next step for the NFL defensively would be running like zone to man match concepts, which college football has to do now with all the RPOs and options.
That's where basketball went.
Exactly. Yeah.
2-3 match zones.
Exactly.
Is all college basketball.
And Derwin, guys like Fred Warner do a really good job of carrying their zone, realizing nobody's there and carrying a man up. That's what elite coverage linebackers do. Eventually, that's what defenses are going to have to do. And Brandon Staley's recognizing that and letting Derwin play with what he has. And I do think that Derwin was the big difference maker. Joey Bosa, obviously wreaking some havoc, helped a little bit too. But I think that's what that is. And with the Chargers and the Bills obviously seeing so many 6 to 7 man coverages, I think, there's some warrant that maybe teams are not stacking the box nearly as much as other teams, but that's not a warrant to
complain about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the NFL. Play football. Run the ball.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp is 100% speaking facts. The Chiefs are in dire trouble, and it's not just short term. There's a path where they become the Marino Dolphins. That doesn't look good.
Well, they already passed the Marino Dolphins.
No, I mean, I'm just in the fact that the first 2 years of Marino, the Dolphins were really good because they were a built team.
Yep.
They made the Super Bowl in '82.
Now he's making
but their aging defense, and then they completely fell off. And they made the Super Bowl in '84. They made the AFC title game in '85. Then they didn't make the playoffs again until 1990 because their defense was so terrible, and it was just Marino. And I don't think it'll be as severe, but
especially with the predication of offense nowadays, I do think you can survive.
And the weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
And the weapons around them.
the most prolific offense on a per-play basis in NFL history was the 2000 Rams. They averaged 7 yards per play. This year, the Chiefs' defense is allowing 7.1 yards per play.
I love it.
That's
Every
ridiculous.
team is the greatest show on turf when
Wow.
they play the Chiefs. Print that.
It's
good to know because Washington plays them this week, so I kind of like that.
It's Chiefs fans, be happy you got the Super Bowl early, because if you don't get crap straightened up, then you're going to be wasting the next 10 years of Mahomes' career.
Yeah. So I just want to get one thing straight. The Chiefs are not a dynasty. Let's stop treating them like they are some Chicago Bulls of the 90s, Kobe Bryant of the 2000s.
2000 Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots
Right.
of the.
They haven't
I
done
mean,
what the Patriots
they've
did.
been to the Super Bowl once or twice. They've won it once, and they've gotten outplayed in 7 of the 8 quarters that they've played in the Super Bowl. Besides that fourth quarter of the San Fran game, I mean,
and
this
that
is
was
not
straight quarterback.
This is not
difference.
some dynasty. I mean,
it's messed up that. I mean, it's not a dynasty. You're
Yeah.
correct. Like this is
this is where they
are.
are. This is where they are. You ready? 2 championships in. They've won one. They've lost one. They've got a lot of hype. So they're like the Miami Heat, big 3. Now, can they win the third one and it solidifies LeBron and he's allowed to leave Miami and it's cool? Or are you going to lose and it's like you won one championship and now the best quarterback in the league, can't get anywhere because the defense is holding them back. So I actually think he is speaking facts. The thing is, I still think they're going to make the playoffs. And when you put, the Chiefs in the playoffs, and even now they're scoring a crap ton of points, you find a defense and you're still right back on top.
Yeah, and just last thing before we move on here, like the goalpost shifting that has been done for good teams by the New England Patriots over the last 20 years, it's not enough. You go to 2 Super Bowls as a young quarterback, that's more success than some entire franchise has had, and it just doesn't stack up at all.
Because that's what we know as a dynasty,
Exactly.
right? That's what
Drew
is.
Brees went to 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll move on. So we're 5 weeks into the NFL now. After this week, we'll be over the third of the way season, and we are, getting to see, who is who. We know some teams that are really good, and we know some teams that are really bad, but there's that middle ground right now. There's a lot of teams who we're going to figure out soon, and we're going to get that all chalked up right now, and what we're going to call for real or fluke. So I'm going to name a team, and we're just going to get it. Are they real? Is this success sustainable, or is they had a lucky couple weeks? So we're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. 3-2 wins over the Steelers, the Vikings, the Jaguars, and 2 really tight losses over the Bears, and then an OT, I believe it was, against the Packers on Sunday. If they ended right now, the Cincinnati Bengals would be the 5 seed in the AFC. Matt Valdovinos, I'm going to come to you first. For real or fluke on the Cincinnati Bengals?
Is for real making the playoffs?
I think for them, that would be for real.
Then I think they are for real. I think they've got a shot at the 7 seed in a weaker AFC.
But do they do it? Because I think you're a fluke if you don't make the playoffs after being the 5 seed right now. I think you got to stamp it down.
I'm trying to think. Ravens, Browns, Chargers, Chiefs, one team in the AFC South, one team in the... Yeah, you know what? Let me stamp the Bengals right here, right now. Let me stamp the Bengals as the AFC 7th seed because I think they're better than the Steelers. I think Joe Burrow right now is better than Big Ben. So
by
give me
a lot.
Yeah. Give me
the bottom 5
So give me the
QB.
Bengals. It's versus what? The Raiders, the Broncos, the Dolphins. I'll take my odds.
I don't even see the Dolphins.
That's
being
what I'm
there
saying.
at
That's
this
what I'm
point.
saying. I'll take my odds. The Patriots.
So before the episode, we had a pretty embarrassing moment, right? It was my fault that we start late. Anyways, I say all this to say I would have like 10 of those moments if I could take off of tape me saying Jamar Chase was going to be a bust because he dropped a few passes in the preseason.
Yeah.
I was pounding the table calling him Markelle Fultz. I'd really like to erase that, but I can't. So for that reason, I'm going to now make up for my sins. I think that they're for real. You got to remember Joe Burrow. He had his season cut short last year, but this is the guy that had almost equivalent hype. I mean, obviously not throughout his entire prospect career, but almost equivalent hype to Trevor Lawrence, this year's first overall pick. And you've seen the difference and disparity in how they've performed. So I think that they're an exciting young team, and it would be great for the NFL and obviously for Bengals fans if they were able to make it into the playoffs this year.
They need it.
Yes, sir. Stat Matt.
They're the 7th seed.
Okay.
We
got 3
Go
believers.
figure. I was not
We got 3
expecting that.
believers
No,
today.
their defense is wildly underrated.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of. They're like a no-name defense. No one knows like outside of.
Shout out Draft Twitter. Their 3 starting linebackers are all due to like just as Twitter scouts pounded the table for. Logan Wilson is like a Draft Twitter darling.
Okay.
So shout out all the dudes who do work out there on Twitter. That's your main platform. I
Bengals
love you. I
GM
believe
is
in you.
watching.
Right, as they should, because you draft better than they do.
Just a point here, guys. I mean, I know we like to do a little bit of betting. If you go on FanDuel right now, plus 245 for the Bengals to make the playoffs. We're all in agreement that they.
Those are great odds. They're such a stereotypical up and coming team.
Last place schedule.
Feel good story. 9-8, 10-7. They're gonna look really great some weeks, look really bad other weeks, like almost losing to Jacksonville. But they're a young up and coming team. They're sneaking to the playoffs and then get bounced quickly by the 2 seed.
But we take that.
But
We
it's a
take
great
those.
season for Cincinnati.
we
fans.
take those.
My
We
DJ
take
senses are tingling. That's
Yeah.
a good bet.
And
I like that.
I like that you brought up the defense because they've given up the 5th fewest touchdowns in the league. And I mean, we've mentioned the teams they've played. Good teams. The Packers, the Vikings, and Matt's favorite stat, 12th in DVOA. So how many teams make the playoffs? 14. 12th in DVOA. You're right in there. I'm going to say they are for real as well. I think you guys talked me into it.
Hey,
When we made the script, I was thinking it through. I was like, Raider, because you got to basically take the Raiders and the Broncos out.
Yeah.
To get them in.
it's one of those
And
3, I
then
think.
the Steelers, you have to have them out.
The Raiders stink.
Yeah.
And beyond, like, we don't have to get into the head coach stuff right now, but like,
Former head coach.
former head coach. But like, they're so overrated. We're
Yeah.
going to see this team come apart. I don't know. Did I just jump the gun? Are they on our script?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Darren
No,
Waller
I
is
left
that
them
dude,
off.
though. Darren Waller is that guy.
I left it off. All right, so we're in agreement. That's crazy. I did not think the Bengals
Shout out the Bengals.
we're going to
Shout
get
out the Bengals.
for real. So we're going to move on to the next team. That's the Dallas Cowboys. We got 3 Eagles fans and a Washington football team fan up here, but we got to admit the Cowboys are balling. 4-1 so far this season, and if you look at their projected total going into the year, it was only 9 wins, right? And Matt on the way up said they might be 9-1 going into.
Oh, I hit
Week
that
10.
over as soon as I saw it. I have them to win the NFC East, too. That was just it's a Charmin soft schedule.
Yeah, it really is, and it has been. I mean, they dropped the opener to the Buccaneers, and then 4 wins against the Chargers, Eagles, Panthers, and Giants, but The big thing is that high-powered offense is back.
Yeah.
Second most points in the league. Second most yards in the league. And they got a guy on their defense who individually, of course I'm talking about Trayvon Diggs, has more interceptions than 27 other NFL teams. Second in DVOA so far this season. So we'll start with Stat Matt. Are the Cowboys for real or are they a fluke?
We put them in the wrong section
You think?
because I think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Okay, let me
I hate to say it.
let's do it. Let's fast forward
Because
then.
in the past, I could always fall back on, they could be a really good regular season team, but then Jason Garrett will screw it up for them in the playoffs. But they've got a good coach in Mike McCarthy. They're a field goal away from being 5-0. And they blew out the teams that they should blow out. They blew out the Giants. They blew out the Eagles, 2 teams that aren't going to go anywhere this year. And they beat the Panthers kind of handily. It was a sneaky close game. And they beat the Chargers, which is a really good win. The NFC's wide open this year, I think we've learned, because the Rams beat up on the Bucks. The Cardinals beat up on the Rams.
Yep.
And the Cowboys...
They beat up on none of them.
Yeah, the Cowboys played the Bucks close. They're going to be in the mix. They're in the top 3 teams in the NFC, I think, as much as I hate to say it. And the soft schedule, that could get them the 1 or 2 seeds.
All right. So Matt, before we've shifted this conversation, are the Cowboys a Super Bowl contender? That is if they are for real, or is that a fluke?
No, I don't think so. Just because I don't think they have what it takes to compete with those elite teams that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Defense still has questions. I know you mentioned Trayvon Diggs. We'll talk about him a little bit later.
Yep.
There are questions on the defense. There's still some questions on the offense. I think Dak's not been as explosive as the passing offense in general hasn't been as productive as I was hoping, but that in turn is because there was some revitalized Ezekiel Elliott and rushing dynamic, which I wasn't expecting. I do think that they are one of the 4 best teams in the NFC, more likely than not, but I would still take my chances with the Bucks, Packers, or probably either the Rams or maybe Cardinals, just because I think the Cardinals are built pretty similarly to the Cowboys.
Yep.
But overall, yeah, give me a team who's more well built overall, and then on top of with the head coaching, I do think that Jason Garrett maybe wins the Super Bowl if he had 2010 Aaron Rodgers. Right, that was one of the best. Adam Gase won a Super Bowl with 2015 Peyton Manning, right?
Or Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl.
But that's what I'm saying. With
Aaron Rodgers,
with 2010 Aaron Rodgers. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I want to see Mike McCarthy prove it to me in the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers, because he rarely did it with Aaron Rodgers, right? We talked a lot about why McCarthy lost that job in Green Bay is because you have the best quarterback of his generation and he wasn't able to get, So I do think it's warranted criticism. I think the Cowboys are a kind of show it to me first, right? We know the Bucks. We know who Aaron Rodgers is, at least. Dak has not done enough yet in the postseason to give me the faith that I know. And Rodgers hasn't done it recently enough either. But I do think that when you talk about those super teams, especially with Tampa Bay, I'm out.
They're not there.
Yeah, I think Super Bowl contenders should be limited to the 3 or 4 best teams in the league.
Yeah, for me, I don't. The NFC
which some people think the Cowboys are.
The NFC is stacked with a bunch of A- teams. Mm-hmm. I don't see any A+ teams. I don't think there's any A+ teams in the NFL. Maybe Buffalo. And I think the Cowboys are in that group. I think it's a big group.
I think they'd be
that group.
Yeah. In that context, I think they'd probably be a B+ with the guy with a healthy, theoretically, once you get to the end season with Tampa Bay getting their corners back.
Yep.
Will be big. And then, like you said, Buffalo right there.
There's a few,
yeah,
and we're gonna get to 2 more. Jake, Cowboys, Super Bowl hopes.
Just quickly, I do think that they are for real.
Okay.
I think that they have a legitimate shot at being the second best team in the NFC, but I wouldn't put them ahead or behind the Rams or the Cardinals or those type teams as you guys had mentioned.
Yeah.
I would be interested, and I didn't get a chance to look at this. I don't know if any of you guys know this off the top of your head, but with DeMarcus Lawrence eventually making his way back to that defense, that should theoretically improve their ability to get home with just the front 4. I don't know how much they blitz to begin with, but with how physical their corners and specifically Trayvon Diggs is, I feel like that kind of plays more into the defense. To me, is the biggest question mark. So I think you add Lawrence back in there, it improves them even more. They can kind of go blow for blow with anyone. If you want to, have a shootout, they have the receivers to do it. If you need to grind it out, they have the offensive line and running backs to do it. So they are a threat. I just don't know. The hierarchy hasn't been sorted yet.
I'm gonna say fluke real quick.
Yeah, just to back my point a little bit, teams like I said, it's a group. Teams 2 through 5 in DVOA are Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucks, and Rams.
Yep. Okay. I still don't think that's sustainable for the Cowboys though, because I actually don't think their defense.
I think it's
is
sustainable through the regular
that good.
season,
Yeah.
potentially.
Yep.
I don't think it's
And
sustainable
that's-
once you face the
And
elite
that's what I'm
offenses.
gonna say. Why it's a fluke. They've
Yeah.
lost to the Bucks. Obviously, they're 4 wins. I think there's only one good team they've played, and that's the Chargers. I don't think the Panthers are good, and we know the Eagles and Giants are.
That they beat, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you just look in the NFC. I'll take 4 teams over them. I'll take the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Packers, and the Cardinals. And I mean, it's weird, but actually, this will shift us to the next one. The Arizona Cardinals are the next one. Staying on the same theme, Super Bowl. They're 4-1, and I mean, or they're 5-0. What am I talking about?
Only undefeated
And they've
team.
been beating good teams.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good teams on that schedule. Chase Edmonds and James Conner are being a really good backfield. I don't think anyone saw that. They have 6 guys, which is crazy, with over 15 receptions and 150 plus receiving.
It's that
yards.
air raid. That's how that. Yeah,
6
that's what.
guys. And Kyler Murray, and this is the fun one. He's making a 3rd-year jump. He was a Pro Bowler last year, and he's playing better. So I mean, 3rd in DVOA, as Matt says. So back to the Super Bowl. Matt V, we'll start with you. Arizona Cardinals, are they a real Super Bowl contender?
I mean, I think they're in that same tier Dallas is, right? Super explosive offense, opportunistic defense with a little bit of variance to it. They have pieces that they can put out there, right? Micah Parsons in Dallas, Javon Curse, guys who can do a lot for you defensively. Same thing with a Byron Murphy and an Isaiah Simmons out in Arizona. I do think that, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt on the defensive line is a little more effective than what Dallas has. But one team gets back that maybe. But I'm going to say no because I just think a team that has not been to the playoffs before is not a Super Bowl contender to me. Now, if it's a team like Tampa Bay who went in and brought in the best quarterback of all time, that would make sense. But I got to see Kyler, I got to see Cliff get into it before I'm going to dub them a Super Bowl contender. I think they're in the same tier as Dallas. I think they're in that tier 2, just under the actual elite teams in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt V. The quarterback, I always do a little tax where if you're a quarterback and it's your first time making the playoffs, you're not going to make the Super Bowl. It just rarely
Pretty
ever
uncommon,
happens because you have to get that first taste of disappointment. You learn
Kyler Murray's not Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, it's almost like
Mahomes,
Dak's rookie year. They're the 1 seed and they got Aaron Rodgers. Like that's going to happen.
Exactly.
Josh Allen, you get confused. You throw the ball 10 yards behind your head while running out of bounds. Like these things happen.
And
in
then
the
you get
playoffs.
Marcus Mariota who throws himself a touchdown. So
Yeah.
I think because of my stance on the Cowboys, and I had mentioned that the Cardinals and Rams are kind of on that same tier. I actually put the Cardinals by virtue of their record and by who they played slightly ahead of Dallas, but I'm going to have to say they are for real. They've shown, at least offensively, that they can be the best offense in the NFL. Again, there are a couple others, Rams, Cowboys, Chiefs. You can go down the list and kind of measure some other teams up against them. But because of my stance on Dallas, I feel like I'm kind of hemmed in to say that they are.
Yeah.
Sure. And vice versa. I can't say Arizona is going to be a Super Bowl contender if I like Dallas.
I think they'll be the last NFC team I put into contender. If I were to rank them, the 4 contenders I have that I mentioned before, Packers, Rams, Bucks, and now them, I think those are the only 4 that have a shot. But I do think Arizona, despite being 5-0, despite already being the Rams, despite playing maybe the best football in the NFL currently, I still think they're like the 4th best in the NFC. It's tough for me, and I want to be proven wrong because I like a lot of the pieces on that team. But, I mean, even DraftKings says in pretty much all betting markets still think the Rams are the favorite to win the NFC West.
I think they're a more balanced team.
Yeah.
They have to be. They have
even with a loss,
payroll.
even with a loss to Arizona, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, but they got another game.
All right, we got one more team on the list, and we've left the easy ones off, right? We're trying to figure out those teams in the middle, like I said. So there's a team that's up and coming right now and just had a big win, actually 2 big wins, and that's the LA Chargers. 4-1, only lost to the Cowboys we talked about before, coming off wins against the Chiefs, Raiders, and the Browns, and Matt's Washington team.
They almost lost that
week
game.
2.
Antonio Gibson fumbled that game away.
So we already talked
We
about
also
Justin
got a
Herbert.
bad Herbert call on that fumble out of the end zone.
We already talked about Justin Herbert.
Rules are rules.
Mike Williams, and we know Keenan Allen is a wide receiver 1, but Mike Williams is playing like a wide receiver 1, so you got 2 of them on that team. Eckler's a problem, and their defense has been their question mark. And I know they just gave up 42 to the Browns, but I mean their defense has been really good. Yeah, I mean, so
Justin Herbert.
Again, we're talking Super Bowl here. Are the LA Chargers a real Super Bowl contender, or are they a fluke?
They're real. They're really real, and it's because their coach gets it. like on many levels. And Matt, I'm going to consider you part of whether it is NFL Twitter, analytics Twitter.
Sure.
Yeah, you're part of it.
I'm hated by
he's-
analytics Twitter.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
part of
Hated.
all.
But I'm a believer in some
Analytics,
analytics.
of course,
I don't believe
yeah.
in breakout age. I'd like to put that on the air. I do not believe in breakout age. Shout out Najee, but go ahead.
Okay, so then I will ask you, how excited did the ramblings from head coach Staley about sack being a missing
everything was
stat,
amazing. Everything was amazing.
about
Brandon Staley,
physicality of the
yeah,
run game?
he's my favorite head coach in the NFL after that press conference.
So
everything I've ever wanted to say, he pronounced it perfectly. It's very in depth how he announced. So like the running back doesn't matter thing that I've been talked about. You know, a lot of people talk about. It's not necessarily that I don't think running the football matters. Like Brandon Staley says, I think running football is very important. I don't necessarily think it's important who does it.
Mhm.
Right? Chase Edmonds and James Conner are out here on the best team in the NFL right now. And their running game looks fine because I think it goes into more. I think the offensive line more important. I think the scheme's more important.
Situational.
Yeah. Brandon Staley gets it. He's, he definitely feels not just pro analytics, but almost preferred. I think there should be a level of feel in the game.
Yep.
I think if you're struggling to move the ball on short yardage, regardless, maybe don't go for it on 4th and 1. Maybe take the 3. I think that's a decision that coaches should make and shouldn't just give up to the numbers. But Brandon Staley, a lot of things. I mean, sacks are huge. I'll never forget when Chase Young played Clemson at Ohio State. He had a box score of like 2 tackles and no sacks. And people were like, oh, this is the most overrated player in the country. But if you watch the film, like Clemson completely rearranged their entire game plan to play against him. They ran exactly, literally. And so Brandon Staley brought that all into perspective. Everything he said, I would recommend any casual football fan that wants to extend their knowledge of the game to go watch that press conference that Brandon Staley had.
So we love Brandon Staley, and I agree with everything that you said. And then you add into the fold, we spoke about earlier in the episode, the number 2 quarterback behind Mahomes in our eyes, one of them. You put them together on the same team, and the fact that Kansas City's already lagging in the division, like they're going to be set up pretty well. You have to deal with Oakland and Denver as like the guys who are neck and neck with you right now, and
That's no problem.
yeah, they love that.
That's no problem.
I'm
QB
all in on
difference.
LA.
QB difference.
Yep.
Ain't no
QB
problem.
diff, yep.
Matt.
So the Chargers, by default, are a contender in the AFC because the AFC is bad. I think the Buffalo is the clear favorite, and I think it's between them and Baltimore for the second spot. And I'd go with the Chargers just because Baltimore is so shaky. They should have lost to Detroit. They should have lost to Indianapolis.
That's not a Justin Tucker diss, is that?
No.
Okay, it's a ref diss because of the
Yeah.
ball. Okay, word. Legatron stands only.
And the Chargers. I know I just said about Kyler Murray first time in the playoffs. You're going to get that. I think that happens to Herbert in the AFC title game though.
Sure.
They'll probably go to Buffalo
Which
as
would
a
be terrible.
LA team in
Yeah.
January.
The
And
Oregon player from Northern California.
Yeah. But the Chargers, it's their first like Super Bowl contending team since like Phillip Rivers' prime.
Yeah, LT.
They're really, really good, and it's a shame they don't have any fans.
Yeah, right. Go figure.
And we'll learn a lot.
At the rate Washington's going, though, they might get a whole fan base, so we'll see.
They play Baltimore this week, which will be a really good telling about who's the second best team in the conference.
And that's a tell for me because I'm still on the edge with this team. I mean, everything you guys said, they're great. I mean, they're going for it on 4th and 7s, and it's working out. I mean, Justin Herbert's the man, but it's like I'm not taking him over the Ravens. I'm not taking them over the Bills. I think the Bills are just a better version of the Chargers.
Sure.
So while in the NFC, I can't pick a winner out of those couple teams, I think in the AFC, it's more of a condensed group at the top, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to put the Chargers in that group. So I'm going to personally say that's a fluke. But we're going to move on, and I think we might be making a sub here.
Yeah,
Jake,
we got to call to the bullpen.
We got to call to the bullpen. This is a straight facts first. Our man Jake, you might have called him. He was not feeling too good over there. And our man walked in right before James Jackson. Let me give him the intro.
What's up? Jake got the seat all low.
Yeah, you remember how to do this thing?
Let me see. Let me tap in real quick. I've actually been behind the scenes this whole episode, watching my guys get to it. So I think I can get into the rhythm. But don't let me slow you up, man. You was moving it well. So
yeah, we got subs. We got subs here. Don't worry. But we're gonna move now to segment 3. And we got our guest here, Matt Valdovinos, and we're going to put the spotlight on you. Matter of fact, that one right there is kind of already pointed on you, so we're going to double up on that.
And this camera right here, make sure you
as we mentioned before, Very active guy on Twitter. Really likes to let him fly at MV Scouting. I think we said it before. Follow him.
Post
It's a
up
great follow. I mean, he might flood your timeline with like 30 tweets on a Saturday and
also
Sunday.
about some random stuff too. Sometimes.
But it's worth it. But he lets him fly sometimes. And you've said some stuff that's a little debatable, so we're going to get into that.
Little debatable.
So here's the first one. October 12th, 2021.
You got the receipts.
At approximately 9:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Matt Valdovinos tweeted,
That was on my drive to work.
but we don't condone that. Lamar is,
At a stoplight.
Of course,
At a
yeah.
stoplight.
Lamar is the clear MVP so far, in my opinion. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to let Matt have the floor first.
Okay. So
you lucky he gave you the floor first.
here's my thought process with it. I think when you're looking at MVP favorites right now, the guys are Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, and then Tom Brady, yeah, sure. I think Dak's fallen off a little bit. I don't know. I think Tom's
You got to put
like
Brady
6th
in
or
there,
7th.
though.
I just don't know what the odds are.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying straight down. I don't think any of them, even if the numbers are all similar, none of them I think are doing it with the offensive cast Lamar's doing it with.
Like, his cast is the worst, so he's
Yes.
holding the team.
By a pretty substantial margin, and to the point where the fact that we are discussing Lamar in this with everybody else is what pushes him ahead of them.
Okay. It's so tough looking.
Let's talk. Yeah, but let's talk about the people, right? Let's talk about who we got. The first one, Josh Allen. You've got Stephon Diggs. You've got Emmanuel Sanders. Dawson Knox is having an amazing year. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are more than fine.
But he's getting those guys involved. Like he's getting Zach Moss involved.
This is not to
Emmanuel.
Yeah,
Sanders.
this is not to take away from the case of the others. But then you look at Justin Herbert with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. Right?
That one I'll give you.
Yeah, we talk about Tom Brady with.
Everybody.
Yeah, come on now.
Oh,
Dak with the Cowboys offense. And then who's the other one? Kyler with Nook, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, which I guess isn't as great, right? But at the end of the day, Lamar's doing it with Hollywood Brown as your number one receiver.
From that viewpoint, yeah. I hear that.
Is this like a speaking facts, Matt V segment?
This is all I'm saying is that the weight on Lamar's back is noticeably heavier than the weight of everyone else's back, and he's right there in the race with everyone else. So that's what would give him
That's very true.
Edge.
You also, it's also convenient that you tweeted this before this past week, and then he came out, and maybe you just foreshadowed, maybe you're just that good. You just know.
I actually tweeted it after the game.
Yeah, he tweeted it right after the game.
The morning after.
Yeah, it was the morning after the game.
Right. Okay. But from that stance, I completely understand. Like Lamar, I'm torn because Lamar had a tremendous end of the game. He also was part of the reason they were in that deep hole. But he was able to climb out of it, and John Harbaugh.
He almost lost to Detroit, right? Like I definitely get that there are red flags.
But a win's a win at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And if you put his stats in a vacuum, they're up against everybody that we named at the top of the list. I still think Kyler Murray is the MVP frontrunner right now for all the reasons that you guys kind of named earlier in the episode. But Kyler Murray right now is leading the best offense, is the best player on the best team, is making probably, next to Justin Herbert, the biggest leap we're seeing in the NFL. We talked about Kyler was a Pro Bowler, and he's playing better now.
Yeah, MVP
and
level.
And now is commanding a 5-0 offense, that a team that looks like that they got all
with
the
some big
together.
W's, with some big W's.
I mean?
Yeah.
So Lamar put himself maybe 2-3. He definitely submitted himself in the top 5 with that, and put the rest of the league on notice. Like I don't do it conventionally, but the way I do it is different than everybody
And if he
else.
needed to do it conventionally, he
I
will.
do it too.
450 and 3.
I put that thing through the air. But right now, you got to give Kyler the props of making the biggest leap and now commanding the best offense, maybe the best team in the NFL.
Yep, I'll give you that.
Lamar's carrying a mediocre team to a 4-1 record right now, and I think he's my MVP right now. An underrated stat is that he has more rushing yards than Latavius Murray and Tyson Williams combined.
Yeah, so his team, yeah.
Which is
crazy. He does that every year.
They're number 1 and 2 running backs on your own team. He's got more rushing yards
But
than
that's
them
what
combined.
I'm saying, right? Like we talk about JK and Gus.
He's dragging that offense through the mud, making Mark Andrews look like he's a top 2 tight end. But clear is the one word. I don't think it's clear yet, but he's the favorite.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll give you that. And we started off slow.
Sure.
I mean, you tweeted this. He went 442, 37 for 43, which is ridiculous, by the way. Only 6 incompletions, broke the Ravens passing record. 4 touchdown, big comeback.
A nice game to tweet that.
A nice game to tweet that out.
Really, yeah, right. I didn't tweet that after 3 interceptions.
So top 10 in rushing right now. Like he's
Now we got some other ones though. And this next one, I kind of just want you to more explain, but I know there's a lot of things.
He's got to look at your paper. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. He's like, wait, what he got? What
So
he
this
got?
this one was October 3rd, 12:46 p.m. afternoon. You tweeted this in the afternoon.
Because I believed it.
Probably ate lunch.
I believed everything about this one.
Ate lunch and was just thinking about Trayvon Diggs as we.
Mine just wanted.
What had to have happened is I saw someone tweet something.
So Trayvon Diggs is just great value brand Xavier Howard. Matt V, first, what did you mean by that? And second, you got to back it up.
You know damn well what I meant by that. Well, okay, you know what? So Xavier Howard gets this hype in some Dolphins fans, specifically last year, that he was the best cornerback in the NFL, which was not accurate. He wasn't even top 5 quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. I think getting interceptions inherently is valuable to your team.
Yeah.
What is at the cost of interceptions is what I think not a lot of people want to discuss, right? Because Byron Jones in his time in Dallas got very little interceptions, but was comfortably a better cornerback than Trayvon Diggs is at this moment, right? And so the reason I tweeted this out, and it's not fair to Trayvon because looking back on it now, I don't necessarily think he's a great value version of Xavier Howard because I don't think he's a lesser version.
Because he's still doing it?
I think he's the exact same iteration, though. I think the other name you can put into this one is Marcus Peters. A guy who is not a shutdown elite CB1. He's not a guy who you're going to stick on another team's best receiver and they're going to shut him down for the season. If you look at the yardage total, that's completely on pace. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is on pace to have the most yards allowed by any quarterback ever. Now, granted, it's a 17-week season.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But yeah, he's when people
hold up. I don't think that one quite hit him. Say that one again.
Look, I'll pull. You want me here? I got you. I can pull up the exact number.
Because that one is what's insane to me. He has, 6 interceptions?
Yeah, he has a bunch of interceptions.
Games, but he's on pace to give up the most yards ever allowed.
You know what this...
more than 1,000.
You know what this kind of reminds me of is, and I'm going to give you time to look this up, but this kind of reminds me of the year that Allen Iverson led the league in points and steals, and he already averaged like 2.3 steals a game or something wild like that. But what people didn't want to discuss is what came at the cost of the steals that he gambled at and missed. And that's what a lot of people kind of...
I like that one.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people didn't like about it. Like, it wasn't on-ball steals. It wasn't pokeaways. It was playing passing lanes and not really sticking to your man and playing too much help defense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what this reminds me of. And I wasn't hip to this until, shout out to, Twitter GMs and Twitter film analysts there, ran the film back and showed us a little montage of all the times that, Trayvon Diggs last week just got shaken around and by lesser players too. And yes, he got his interception last week. He got his one on the board, but there was a lot
on
of
Mike
film.
Glennon.
Yeah.
On Mike Glennon. That's the thing. Like, Mike
tough.
Glennon underthrowing a football. Like, I'm glad you intercepted it off, and that's an elite skill to have. Trayvon Diggs has arguably has the best ball skills.
And what did Tony have? 160 something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
super
DJ
yards.
Moore had his way. Devontae put him in a blender, but Jalen had an awful game against the Cowboys. People want to say, like, oh, Mike Evans had 3 receptions. Yeah, because the rest of the Bucs offense had like 400 yards of offense. Right. It didn't matter. Mm-hmm. So that's what's wild to me. But
so I see it. One thing I do want to say, though.
He deleted the tweet, unfortunately.
Okay. But you were right. No, I saw it. You were right.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that is just the counterpoint to this. Not saying you guys are wrong, but has there not been a bigger emphasis from defensive coordinators and specifically special teams coordinators for takeaways? Way more than it's been. I mean, going back to the peanut punch, you see guys going for that all the time. And there's a big emphasis. Nick Sirianni says it all the time. Takeaways, right? So there is still a lot of value in this type of corner. And I still think that, and I was a big Trayvon Diggs after I watched him get just absolutely burnt a couple times last season. I know he had a good second half of the season, brought it back, and now he's adding to that now. So I think he's still probably, and I hate to say it, probably a top 10 corner in the league.
I don't agree. I just can't. So
I think he's towards like the 10.
I don't think you can be so. Maybe,
his
but
takeaways alone, you got to put him.
I think his value,
but that's what I'm saying. These 7 interceptions or whatever in 6. I'll give you maybe he's a top 15. But the issue is, you can't. But you can't sell me on a top 10 cornerback who can't strap up a number 1 receiver in any facet. But that's the issue. If he's holding these guys to like the Mike Evans stat line, sure. But he's that's just because Mike's not getting targeted. If I put him on a number 1 receiver. Give me 100 routes. I'll take my receiver 80 times. And Trayvon Diggs might have 10 interceptions in those 100 attempts, or he might have 15, but is 15 interceptions worth 85 completions for however? Like that's what Trayvon Diggs is dealing with right now. It's such a high variance of value and risk that I can't be sold on.
It's a perfect case of people who just look at numbers versus who watched the film.
Yeah.
And Matt V's got it right. He's good. He's promising, but there's so many flaws in his game that people just don't talk about.
I 100% agree. We all just put him to light right now. But sticking to the point or the statement of him being fringe top 10 or fringe top 15, I think you have to put him in there.
I know. I'm actually going back through my head, naming corners in my head, and I think 10 was a little high.
10's a little high.
I think what I want to say, though, is that he's a cornerback one in this league.
100%. And you
sure, but I think he's better
cornerback.
suited to be a CB2. I think his skill set, like Xavier
He would
Howard,
work next to a Jalen Ramsey,
but this is the thing. Xavier Howard doesn't have his 10 So Xavier Howard goes and has his All-Pro year. The year they go and get Byron Jones, a dude who shuts down a number one receiver.
Yeah.
Right? I think Trayvon Diggs, if he's forced onto, if he gets to cover a number 2, that's when you start looking at he's not getting toasted every snap and he's still getting those receptions because you've got that CB1.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I think he's a low-end CB1. High-end best CB2.
For the interceptions alone, I think you have to put him at least inside. Maybe he can be ladder 8, 9, but he's inside the top 10 because in an offensive league, in a league driven on outscoring the other team.
But he's not stopping them from scoring. That's the issue.
But to present his offense extra possessions, almost guaranteed at this point. Again, I think to Kyle said it's high value. Yes, it's high risk. Teams are going to score. But if I can get Dak and my offense the ball back more times than Justin Herbert has the ball, we probably win the game.
I think he fits with Dallas very well. Getting takeaways to put that Dallas offense on the. I think what we'll probably all agree on as an individual player, he's probably not top 10.
Well, the issue is the numbers don't last.
That's the thing. The value he's providing right now, I think.
And the craziest thing is Cowboy fans will be like, this is a top 5 cornerback. If you
that's Cowboys fans.
Well, so 5 years ago, if you talked to Dallas about Byron Jones and they're like, this is a top 5 cornerback. And then you go, but he's not turning the ball over. And they go, it doesn't matter. Interceptions are there's a ton of variance. They're not consistent year to year, which they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when you talk about the best cornerbacks in the league, we're talking about Jalen. We're talking about Jairi, right? We're talking about Stephon. Those are guys who are going to have 11 interceptions a year for a reason. Because quarterbacks aren't targeting them. Quarterbacks aren't scared of Trayvon Diggs. If he picks it off, sure, but a 70-yard pick is effectively a punt.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily – I don't think that's any different. That interception specifically, or like Mike Glennon, his 7th interception, is no different than if he had just swatted the ball and they punted. Right?
Yeah.
That's the exact same idea.
All right, let's shift to the other side of the wide receiver cornerback matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the one that I think the one you've been ready to talk about, I think. So on October 6th, 2021, approximately 1:15 p.m. Another case, he was eating lunch and he just
Probably.
Actually, I think Matt probably thinks about
food stimulates,
I think
bro.
Matt probably
What day was
thinks
this?
about
October
this guy
6th?
a lot more than others. So the only receivers that I believe are outright better than Terry McLaurin are Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, if you guys remember, we did this with the Patrick Mahomes thing. The definitely better argument. I mean, there's low. We understand what he's saying, but he's saying. So you really think?
Sometimes
you really think Terry McLaurin? There's a case to be made that he's the 5th best wide receiver in the league.
Absolutely.
Do you believe he's the 5th best wide receiver in the league?
Probably not. Just because we haven't gotten a chance.
So the
to see
biggest
him.
Terry McLaurin enthusiast that believes there is a shot.
I would say Terry's a no doubt top 8 wide receiver. But I would say I would not, like I said, not definitively. I can't sit here and look everyone in the eyes and be all like, I absolutely think that Terry McLaurin is better than.
You couldn't do it.
Real quick,
Keenan Allen.
Real quick, because this one I just need to know how long are we into this episode?
For 50 minutes, about
50 minutes. Okay,
48 minutes.
I'm just because I know this could turn into a 20-minute conversation, and now I know that it can't because we need to go quicker than that.
Uh-huh.
He knows it can't.
So here's my thing. The reason I have Terry there is because you'd be hard pressed to find any wide receiver in the NFL that wins in the multitude of ways that he's going to win. The only thing Terry's not really elite at is being 6'4", right? He's 6'1". So all he really he's 4'3", right? He's got the speed. You can't teach height, but Terry leads the NFL in completion or in contested completions.
Yeah.
He also last year finished
maybe the best catch of the year so
exactly.
far.
He has a couple up there.
Right.
Has been forced to get a lot of volume, and I know getting open is a part of that, but they have no one else on that team. I mean, a lot of targets come for that reason.
He's also got no quarterbacks that are capable of throwing the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
You
want
and
then on top of that, last we talk about he leads the NFL in contested catches this year. Last year he finished 5th in the NFL in yards per catch. Dominant route runner. So he's winning in the air. He's creating separation. He's winning after the catch. He's a great blocker. I mean, Terry does everything. And so that's what pushes him into that tier, that conversation for me.
All right. James, what do you think?
I think you make a very good case for someone you watch and study on a week-to-week basis. It's hard to argue with you. But I would hesitate to put Terry number 5.
Understandably
your
so.
analysis and my fantasy team begs to differ. Shouts out to that man right now, winning me a couple of ball games over there in fantasy.
He's like that.
You know what I mean? He is like that. But for Terry McLaurin, like, I think at the end of this season, if he's doing what we're seeing now in week 5, week 6, and we're still seeing that week 16, 17, he's going to leap into that category like Devontae Adams leaped into that category.
But that's what I'm saying. Who's the 5th best receiver in the NFL?
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, probably.
I could not sell me that Cooper Kupp's outright better than Terry McLaurin.
Calvin Ridley.
Keenan Allen.
Definitely not.
Keenan
I
Allen.
watched both of them play in Atlanta.
Keenan Allen.
Not better. Keenan Allen, I'd maybe give you.
I think Terry McLaurin is very equivalent to a DJ Moore, and I think both of
I
them
don't agree.
both
I
of them
think
can take off.
I think DJ Moore's in such a different.
I
the same thing with Cooper Kupp. I think they're play their role
It's also
and they
like,
play their
where do you
role really
rank
well.
someone like
Terry
Deebo
plays
Samuel
every role.
Also. Like, he's like a weird person to rank.
Sure, DK, AJ Brown would both be in that
I think
tier.
DK
Justin Jefferson.
DK's up there. Jettis.
Sure.
I'll bet J. Jett is above Terry.
Yeah, Jefferson's better than McLaurin.
Yeah. I think. Now, I
If
think
Terry had Kirk, he'd put up the same
You
numbers.
see how he
If Terry-
sticks to his team?
If Terry had Kirk, he'd put up
This
the
is
same
how-
numbers.
This is like me arguing with y'all about Eagles players.
Well, I
Kirk
actually,
is blind.
Well,
This
this is
the
the
thing.
thing. This
This
is the
is
thing.
what
I'll
I go
take.
through.
We can go through every single game they've played this year.
we can't. We actually can't.
No.
We can't.
We can get on the Twitch stream. We can bring everyone straight facts for 8 hours of NFL film. I'll
I know you be grinding the film. too.
listen,
No, so
I know,
this-
I know he's
Just
dead
and
serious
Jets is
about
great.
that.
Don't get me wrong, because I have Jets on my fantasy team, right?
Yeah.
I love Justin Jefferson. I definitely think he's one of those guys that you could put in that situation. But Terry McLaurin's never played with Adam Thielen
So
or anyone close.
I am playing devil's advocate a little bit. I do really think Terry McLaurin is a top 10 receiver in the league, no doubt. But I think personally,
I don't even know if it's no doubt though. That's my thing.
I can name 3 guys that I see better because we let those 4 go: Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill,
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, and personally, I think I see 3 guys that I know are better. So I can't be him 5, and albeit very close. But I think he's
I think
like
it
9.
shows that he's in that second tier, though.
that tier
So there's,
from
like,
that
the top
5 to
4.
10.
There's like
yeah, I'd probably.
But that's
put him
what I'm
like
saying.
8.
there's
That's
like
what I'm
9,
saying.
10 guys in that tier. But
But that's okay.
You're right,
That's
yeah.
okay. So if you replace any of them in my tweet, we could have the exact same conversation, right? It's just as the Washington fan, I plugged in my guy there,
Yeah.
right? But if the Rams go, let's have this conversation about Cooper Kupp. It's like, all right, let's have this conversation about Jets. Okay,
I'm putting Jets up there for sure, above him. There's just so many guys that
there's a ton of dudes in that tier
right now.
There's a ton of
and I
dudes in that
think there's
tier.
like-
I want to put Keenan Allen there.
But similar, so
Yeah,
the only
there's
thing
like
is,
6 guys that I can
Sure,
see,
but-
and I can't even
yeah.
judge who I think is better.
what's crazy is this take pretty close to the Lamar thing. Who's doing it in the situation Terry's doing it? Nobody.
DJ Moore,
No.
He has Sam
no.
Darnold at
He has
quarterback.
Robbie Anderson across from him.
who's doing nothing,
More than Curtis Samuel's doing. He's played like 7 snaps this year.
not more than Logan Thomas is doing.
Who's on IR right now?
But who we've played 5 weeks and he's played a lot of them.
He played 3 of them.
Yes,
Okay,
Robbie Anderson damn near has played like 1 game.
Sam Darnold's better
I mean-
than Taylor Heineke, bro. That's insignificant.
But see, now
he
we're
is.
having this conversation. But I don't even think DJ is one of my top guys.
See, I wouldn't
but
put
there's
DJ
so
there. I'll
many
give you
guys on the
guys
same
that I
level.
would give you. Keenan Allen, sure. Jets give you. I think DK's more likely to be in that top
Calvin
5 in a
Calvin
couple
Ridley.
years. No, Calvin really cannot catch a football with any level of consistency. Until you can catch a ball until your drop rate is under 10%, you're not a top.
Real
5
quick.
receiver,
All right, because we got to move on.
except Tyreek.
I'm gonna name a couple of names. Yes or no? Are they in that category? So
Sure.
you said no on Ridley.
I'll give you Ridley's in the category, but he's not outright better than Terry McLaurin. I won't take that
Cooper Kupp,
in the category.
AJ Brown,
No,
Jettis,
but he's the number 1 receiver in the next one. Jets is yes.
CeeDee Lamb.
No,
Mm.
yet. Give me Cooper over.
So
CD.
I'm not even gonna say
Give me
Jamar
Cooper
Chase.
over CD.
Not
for
even
now.
gonna say Jamar
No,
Chase.
definitely
is
not
there.
Jamar Chase.
And I think that's it.
Keenan
Samuel.
Allen's in there. Mike
Debo.
Williams right now, sure. I'll
Yeah.
give you.
Deebo Samuel.
Debo, yeah. DK. Maybe Tyler Lockett.
We've yet to name him. I'm just waiting for one of my Bucks receivers.
Mike
Just-
Evans
just
is the
like-
third.
But that's
tier.
the thing. That's the thing is like,
Okay.
which Bucks receiver?
I need to put stop in it. I need to put stop in it.
I heard,
Godwin.
I'm not going to entertain it, Kyle. I heard it. I'm
Okay.
not going to entertain it. I heard it, and he's not going to get a rise out of me. That's all he wants is to get a reaction out of me.
Who's the
No,
best?
no,
Who's the best
no,
Bucks
no,
receiver?
He's in the tier.
That's all he wants.
Because I think all 3 are in the.
That's all-
You're right.
Jake knows, that's all he wants.
James is definitely right. All 3 are in that category for sure.
Oh.
But which one's the best?
Godwin.
I would
I don't
probably
know,
put
bro.
Godwin. I would probably put Godwin. He's more versatile of a receiver.
I just
than
think Mike Evans is in it.
It's
I
the
just don't
perfect
think Mike
balance.
and Tom are
It's
great.
the perfect balance because they all have different roles.
Yeah, I
They're all
agree, and
different.
I think Mike's role is the worst.
Yeah. All right, well, let's put a cap in this. Let's move on. to the countdown. That was great, guys. That was awesome. Let's move on to the countdown. James, you take 5, 3, 1.
I got it.
You got 4, 2. All right, let's go number 5.
The number of consecutive years the Houston Astros have made the ALCS, which absolutely infuriates me.
The
I
asterisks.
didn't even realize it until today.
Yeah.
How did they survive all of this? Because
They went
remember the year,
29-31 last year, and they made the ALCS.
and you remember the year after their scandal, they started out putrid, and everyone's like, yes, they're going to suck. And they made the ALCS.
They're
again.
balling.
This is my least favorite team in sports, bro.
My
Yeah.
least favorite.
I want the Red Sox to win, but my
Yeah,
heart
so do I.
is telling me that they're not going
And
to
what-
win.
No.
What
You
makes
got to
me
root
mad-
for the drama. You want a Dodgers, Astros,
No, I don't
revenge
want
World
the Astros
Series.
So that the Astros can cheat again.
I don't want the Astros to succeed anymore because I don't want them to
Like,
have a
yeah.
chance at winning. What makes me most
Let me get a
mad
sock
about
sweep.
it is when I'm watching the ALDS and they scan the crowd and the Astro Stadium is packed and I'm like
Imagine.
y'all y'all get to root for an ALCS team. Y'all never even got to have any consequences.
Your favorite
Yeah.
team cheats.
All right, Matt, number 4.
The number of business days it took Ben Simmons to report after being fined. He was fined last Tuesday, reported this
That money
Monday.
gets look,
That money, that's what I was going to
money
say.
hits
That
hard, boy.
8.25.
Hey.
That money hits-
8.25 is a million. It's
Yeah,
a lot
that
of money.
money-
It's a lot of money when it's
He
not in
was
your bank
living
account.
that life of being like a socialite.
Yeah.
You don't play basketball for a year. People in that community, they're gonna forget you. Like
Yeah.
it's a fast move.
But that's the thing. Like, how do you be a socialite now? Because he has to live in Philly, right? Because he's with the team for right now.
He live in Clifton Heights, New Jersey. He
Oh,
don't live-
yeah.
he don't
He
live-
commute. Yeah, he commute. He's
don't
a
live-
commuter. He
he
takes
don't
that.
live in-
But yeah, you
Besides
can't
him.
hide. You're Ben Simmons. You're 6'10". Everyone knows what you look like.
What I think is really interesting is Daryl Morey won the staring contest. They're both
Yeah,
of them
yeah.
were sitting in the middle of the road with Mack trucks coming, and Daryl Morey didn't move.
Sat there. I
And-
respect
and
it.
Daryl
That's kind of
Morey
GM I
was
want.
like, I'm not going to take a loss on a trade. I've shown that.
You're 25 years old. You're in your athletic prime. You're just
and
gonna
I
sit.
will, I will find you. I will
I will
take your
eat
game
your
check.
825.
I will take
It's
your
in
game check.
escrow. Come
And-
get it.
And Ben said, no, you won't. You gonna trade me before you just hold out or before you let me
Yeah.
rock. And,
Say that.
and nope, lost. That first fine came in. Ben said, all right,
I'm back.
Yeah.
my fault.
He's
He's
like,
literally saying, I'm
No,
outside.
The funniest part is
You
he
can
didn't-
mess with my reputation, slander my name, but don't take my
I'll
money.
come back.
And
The
he came right
funniest
back.
part is he didn't tell nobody.
He just showed
one,
up.
That joint didn't hit. The direct deposit didn't hit. And he just hopped on a flight. I'm not
He-
telling Rich
he
Paul.
was
I'm
like,
not telling
oh, they're-
nobody.
And imagine being that Daryl Morey.
He was like, oh, they were for real
I'm
about that?
outside.
Yeah, man. I'm at the facility.
All right, let's go to number 3.
The number of starting QBs the Packers have had since
sorry, versus the Bears.
Packers have had versus the Bears since 1992. Already, the number of starting QBs the Packers have had versus the Bears since 1992. In that same span, the Bears have had 20 versus the Packers.
Sheesh.
I mean, the Packers. I mean, from regime to regime to regime, have
Who
only
was
had
the-
a decade-long quarterback.
The third one's the
Rodgers,
fun one.
Favre.
Matt Flynn?
No,
No.
definitely not. Was it before Favre or is
No,
it
it's,
someone in
it's
between?
recent.
Oh, Brett Hundley?
Yes.
Hey.
Who got the win? Didn't he? Who got the win?
Probably the Bears.
But
The
I mean,
Bears.
I think this is probably more of a Bears
Yeah,
statistic
no, this-
than it is
Oh,
a Packers
yeah.
statistic, right? Like this is that's what's supposed to.
I mean, we all saw that Bears Washington.
3 since
quarterback.
92 is nuts, though.
That's insane.
Against one team, that's
Mhm.
crazy.
that is crazy.
It's 30 years. All right, let's go to
That's how I
number.
felt with McNabb.
Yeah, he was,
McNabb was only there for
he was there for a while.
10 years.
My whole life.
11
That's all I
years.
remember. I
99.
remember McNabb.
99 to
McNabb,
09.
McNabb.
11 years.
99 to 9. Yeah, that was a whole era of Eagles
Mm-hmm.
football.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to number 2.
The number of players in NFL history, 21 or younger, with over 400 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns in their first 5 games. That's Jamar Chase and Randy Moss.
Crazy.
Straight cash, homie.
Elite company.
Jake Lucky, he saved himself. Jake Lucky saved himself and already admitted defeat on the Jamar Chase take because boy's balling.
Well,
He's
hey,
hooping.
hey, we got
Ball.
receipts.
He out there.
We got receipts. Remember last time he was on?
Now
He said Jamar Chase was like wide receiver 4.
I did say that. Now wide receiver 2 has not gone on the field yet. And Rashad Bateman. Hopefully he gets back this week with a surging Lamar. So
Who
we'll
was
see.
3? Rondo.
3 was
Waddle.
No, 3 was Waddle. Now what sucks is 1 and 3 Devontae and Waddle got put into some pretty awful quarterback situations.
I think Devontae's playing well.
I do too.
Uh.
Devontae, like I said, Devontae put Trayvon Diggs in a blender, and that's somebody that's smoking on that top 5. So, but we'll see. I do think that I was wrong on Chase overall. I think the contested
We all
catches
were.
and the deep threat. Yeah, I think obviously
I
there-
liked him a lot.
yeah, you did. Yeah, Matt was
Oh,
that
did he?
dude. And I know a lot of people who thought Jamar Chase was like a Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson level prospect. Now, obviously, I think he'll regress back to the mean a little bit. But he's been phenomenal. He has
no.
outplayed that. We'll see. We'll
Oh,
see.
He's all he's doing is establishing more of a rhythm. With,
So
with
where
Joe Burrow.
but
He's
the thing
running
is,
good routes. Though.
right
As a
now
film guy, he's running
the
good
only
routes.
but the only person he's in range with is Randy Moss right now, right? So it is regressing to the mean is lowering Justin Jefferson did it, right? He's having a good this. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's not gonna I still don't anticipate Jamar Chase to be the best receiver in the league at some point in his career.
What I think this will do is this will open up a blueprint, or at least a train of thought of getting connections, like college connections, and actually making that maybe a thing.
Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin.
Say it again.
Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin. That's what they were supposed to be.
That's what they were supposed to do.
That was them.
I mean, well, maybe we'll see more head coaches in front offices. Honey, I know that hurt. That was a hurt piece for you.
Yeah, that one sucked. No.
My fault.
All right, let's go to number 1.
Rookie
I
quarterbacks.
do think so.
What?
I apologize. The quarterback wide receiver thing, it makes so much sense. Not enough people think
If you
do
can
it,
pull,
yeah.
if it makes sense to
Just
do
bring
it, in the draft,
or just
you
bring
pull
in a
up.
UDFA that went to school with them, and someone like not enough people take care of their rookie quarterbacks.
Right. Don't go urban and get the
Yeah.
do it in the
Don't
first
draft
round.
poorly.
Right. Yeah. But if
Yeah.
it makes sense, do it. All right. Number 1, rookie quarterbacks who have thrown more TDs than interceptions this season, and that's only one of them. That's Trey Lance with 3 TDs and only 1 pick. Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, and Jacob Eason have all thrown more or the same amount of interceptions as touchdowns. Now, Trey Lance has a smaller sample size than a lot of rookie quarterbacks.
This is a stat to show how poorly rookie quarterbacks are playing.
Yeah,
and it's just fun
bad.
that like Jacob Eason gets thrown in there too.
Yeah, I just think that was
he
a
came
weird
in.
one.
He came in and threw a
Does he
pick.
just have 1 interception?
I mean,
Yeah.
Kellen Mond's been the best rookie this season. I mean,
I
he hasn't played.
desperately need Urban Meyer to leave my man.
That's what I'm
Trevor
saying,
Lawrence
bro.
alone.
The most unbustable.
This is terrible.
Let Trevor be
This
great.
is really, really bad.
He looks good. Like, I understand he's second in the NFL in interceptions.
He's thrown a lot of picks.
He's made like Zach Wilson's looked bad for. But if you watch Trevor Lawrence, like
some
some
of
of
the flashes.
yeah, Trevor Lawrence has made some grown man
Tell
NFL.
Urban, tell Urban, leave.
That's what I'm
Trevor
saying.
alone.
Just let Trevor cook.
Party with co-eds. You don't have to coach. You get more time to party with
Yeah,
co-eds.
right. Urban, just go do your thing, bro.
All right, we're almost out of time for this episode, but we can still get some shots up at the buzzer. Who's got one?
I got one because you know what week it is. You know what tomorrow is.
Uh-oh.
By the time everybody hears this episode tonight, but y'all two, Jake off camera knows, my Buccaneers invade the link on Thursday. So I want everyone out there. This is a shout out to the airwaves.
I'll be there.
Philly, I'm on my way. The GOAT is on his way.
I'm on my way too.
The fake Lombardi from my guy out in California is on the way. And we posted in the Jetro lot ready to embarrass y'all on national TV.
Gonna throw it in the skookle like Brady.
I'm not gonna throw it. I'm not gonna toss it. I can't believe my man was tossing Lombardi.
He was drunk. Tom Brady was feeling himself in Tampa Bay. That's for sure. That's for.
But just know that we coming in full forces, and I can't wait. And don't let us win. I don't care if we're supposed to win. I don't care if y'all bad. Because next week it's not gonna be fun for y'all three if I come back and if we win.
If we come back and beat you guys,
it's not gonna be fun for me. It's not gonna be fun.
There's
for
a
me.
reason, James. I'm not making a bet with you this week.
I'm not making a bet with you either. You made it not fun because you won. But I had to win.
They're gonna be like, give me plus 15.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not making no bets.
all right. Who else got something to say at the buzzer?
Okay, I got a silly one. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is a great game.
You were grinding that earlier?
You put my
Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. It's a remake of the first 2 Super Monkey Ball games. I had it when I was a kid. And
Super Monkey Ball. It
Banana-
sounds like something
Banana Mania.
You're
I used to play it at the dentist.
You're
What
a
is he talking
ball.
about?
You're a monkey in a ball, and your job is to roll into a goal.
Oh,
Yeah, I used to play that at the dentist, bro. I'll never forget.
Oh.
And it's
Why are you
great.
playing that?
No,
Why are you
it's
playing
like
that?
nostalgia. It's only $40 too. It's not even a $60 game.
You spent
Man,
$40
you spent
on
$40
that?
on this game.
It's got
Bro,
the
let me put you on
first
the
game, it's got
emulator,
the
dog.
second game. It's got deluxe levels. It's got dark banana mode. It's got golden banana.
Matt, bro, sponsor my boy. Super Monkey Ball,
And
get out
you're
here.
looking at the
Put
guy
breakdown on
who's
this game.
23rd in the world in
Oh,
Super Monkey
shit.
Ball.
Oh,
Straight facts.
Let
4
us flex.
minutes, 27 seconds.
Crazy.
All right, let us
crazy.
flex.
It's all
All
about
right.
hitting that strat on Polar Large.
That was-
real ones know.
That's hilarious.
That was a
Top
buzzer
30
beater if
in
I
the
ever seen
world.
it.
That was funny. All right,
That's some crazy
I'm gonna
game.
get mine in. Pitt Panthers. We got our draft guy here. I need Matt to tell you guys how good Kenny Pickett is.
Yo, bro was balling this past weekend. He made some in an awful quarterback class. Right, we don't know what's gonna happen with Rattler, who a lot of people had QB1 coming into the year. I got Matt Corral, Ole Miss, as my QB1.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's got a shot, right? I think he could enter that corral, Howell,
He's so money.
that round one,
Music
you
to
know,
Coliseum.
top
Dude,
3 to 5.
dude, he's so
now, I don't know if
money.
he's money, right? So the issue is what sucks, and I feel
He's a
bad.
money college football quarterback. He's exactly who I want to
exactly.
pick.
He's like a better version of who was the Penn State Bull? Trace McSorley, right? He's like
way
a more,
better.
Yeah, he's like a Trace was a good college quarterback, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm looking at ratings.
But as far as like being an NFL passer, it's a weak class, right? And I did not like Kenny Pickett coming in. That was a UDFA, easy. Was comfortable with that.
He's getting
but,
drafted.
He might get drafted top 32. We'll see. Hopefully not to Washington top 32, but
And
I'll take him 45th.
We got VT this week. I'm going to the Clemson game next week.
Ooh, that's crazy.
We
That's
could be
lit.
6-1 and making a little move. Just saying. All right, Matt, what you got to say at the buzzer? Anything?
Kenny Pickett might get drafted in the first overall or first round. I do think that's a thing.
Plug yourself.
Definitely follow me on Twitter at MV Scouting. We always have a good time there. Working on some stuff right now, but just doing me. But the football content's always coming. The draft stuff will definitely ramp up the closer we get to the draft.
We'll have you back on for the draft.
Of course, whenever y'all want me on, I'd definitely love to come talk ball.
All right, Matt. Another bang episode. Appreciate you having
y'all.
on. Matt Valdovinos, MV Scouting on Twitter. For my man Jake in the background, how to get subbed out.
Yeah, right.
James Jackson and Sad Matt Robinson. I'm Kyle Sirik. These have been the facts.
Straight up. Nah.